Howdy folks, got something slightly different for you today. What you're getting today is a sneak preview of some new upcoming content in World of Tanks patch 9.7. Yep, I know patch 9.6 has only just hit the live server, but they're already hard at work on content for the next patch. And what we have in this video is a preview of one of the new maps that's coming in 9.7, and it's based on the beaches of Normandy. On a certain day in 1944, when the armies, air forces and navies of the Western Allies had a thing or two to say to Mr. Hitler about his occupation of Europe. Now, I should say right at the start that this is not exclusive content. I have been given the video footage of the new map that you're about to see by Wargaming. All of the Wargaming EU community contributors have been given access to this video, so you're probably likely to see the following video footage pop up in YouTube in various different flavours over the course of the next couple of days, but this is my take on it. So, new D-Day map coming out in patch 9.7. Let's take a look and see what sort of thing we can expect. First things first, a couple of screenshots before we move on to the video itself. And my initial impressions just from looking at the screenshots are, wow. You know, say what you like about Wargaming and the big world graphics engine, but you can kind of tell that just from looking at the screenshots that this was designed from, if you'll excuse the expression, from the ground up as a tank battle game. The level of detail and complexity, the surface detail on these maps that Wargaming have been pushing out lately has been nothing short of spectacular. When you look at maps like Stalingrad, Kharkov, the redesigned Prokhorovka, and now this D-Day map, the competition really. I mean, you know, War Thunder looks alright, but you can tell when you compare the two games side by side that World of Tanks was designed to represent tanks, armoured fighting vehicles on the ground, and War Thunder is using a flight simulator graphics engine. I mean, a very, very good flight simulator graphics engine, but the closer you get to the ground in War Thunder, well, it just can't compare to this. I did, however, spot one, well, you're going to see it coming up in the next screenshot. That right there is a tiger knocked out on the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. Really? Well, I know World of Tanks never claimed to be a simulator, but I'm pretty sure all the Panzer divisions were held back inland because Hitler refused to allow them to be released, despite Rommel screaming that he needed the Panzer divisions on the beaches right now. But none of the Panzer divisions could be moved without Hitler's express orders, and he was convinced that the attack on Normandy was just a feint and the main thrust was going to come at Calais. So for the first couple of days, after the 6th of June 1944, none of the Panzers were released to attack the beaches. And yet there's a tiger. Oh well. Wargaming never claimed World of Tanks was a simulator. Anyway, onto the video footage itself, because this is what you all want to see. This is video that was actually recorded by Wargaming and distributed to Wargaming EU, so that they could share it with the community contributors like me, and we could share it with you. And this is what the map actually looks like. It is nice, isn't it? Now, a gully like this, which is one of the only routes off the beach for the armour, would have been heavily mined with anti-tank mines. Obviously that's not going to happen in World of Tanks. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, wow, how the hell are you going to be able to assault that? You know, all the defensive positions are on one side of the map. The way this map is actually going to work is you're going to be attacking in this direction. It's not one team starts on the beaches and the other team starts, you know, behind all the fortifications, because that would just be ridiculous. Instead, one team is going to start down that end, and another team is going to start up that end. Notice the Panzer III turrets mounted on the top of the bunkers there. Nice little bit of historically accurate detail. This is actually going to be one of the bigger maps available in World of Tanks. It's a huge map by World of Tanks standard. It measures 1 kilometre by 1 kilometre, so plenty of scope for manoeuvre. Now, the fortifications that you're seeing here and the anti-tank obstacles, the hedgehogs there, this is a simplified version. There would have been a hell of a lot thicker than that on the real beach. Obviously, they need to make it playable. They don't want you to actually not be able to make it from one end of the beach to the other, because at the end of the day, this is a game, not a simulator. But they have, wherever possible, used the real historical fortification schemes in order to model the features that you see on the map. They've had to make certain concessions to gameplay and certain concessions to game optimization, because with far too many destructible objects around, then the game would be unplayable on this map for people with lower spec machines. But you can see it's quite a nice mix of different terrain features. Obviously you've got the beach, and then you've got the gullies leading up off the beach, the draws where you can get the armour from the beach up onto the headland bluffs up here. You've got the fortifications. So looking at the various different areas of the map from a purely gameplay perspective, this section of the map on the headland immediately after you move up from the beaches, you've got a big old mix of different kinds of cover. You've got hard cover like this bunker here with the naval gun mounted covering the beach, and then you've got various different bits of destructible cover, crates, boxes, trucks, things like that, and then all these landscape features that break up line of sight. And while we're up here on the headland, note that the map is kind of divided into three distinct elevation sections. You've got the low ground on the beach, you've got the sort of middle ground here on the headland, and then the high ground as you move further inland. And it's going to be real difficult to shoot from any one of these areas into any one of the other two areas. So this headland on the bluffs overlooking the beach, with all of these sort of short-range engagement feel to it, looks like the kind of area where the heavy tanks are going to be able to get into the kind of short-range face-to-face fights that heavy tanks really excel at. Moving up from the headland and moving inland, this is light tank, medium tank and tank destroyer country. One thing that I'm getting a feel for on this map preview is the sheer amount of concealment that once you move off the bluffs and the headland overlooking the beach and you actually get up here into the rural area of the map, is the sheer amount of concealment that is available up here. Something that we haven't seen a lot of in, well, most of the recent maps that Wargaming have done. Maps like Kharkov, it's a city map. Maps like Stalingrad, it's a city map. The kind of maps that it's tough for a light tank, for example, to do a scouting job in. Not so on the D-Day map, certainly not at this back end of the map. Look at all of the concealment that's available. Now, when you take into consideration the view range nerf that was given to tank destroyers in patch 9.6, it means that good scouts are going to be more important than ever. Of course, you still need a map that actually has concealment on it in the right kind of location for a scout to actually spot targets for those tank destroyers. Well, you definitely seem to have that here in this higher elevation area of this D-Day map. Look at all the concealment there. And it's not like other maps where there is an obvious spotting position and if you're getting shot at, for example on the western end of Prokhorovka, right at the border of the map, there's a bush in the cornfield that if you're starting on the southern end and you're getting shot at and you can't see who's lighting you up, just pop a shot into that bush and you will kill a scout, because there's nowhere else that he can be. This is not like that at all. There is so much concealment available here for light tank drivers to take advantage of. And yet at the same time you've got all these contours in the ground that mean there's no one spot, for example, where a light tank can sit and just see the entire battlefield. There's always going to be an obstruction that means he can only really get a decent view of the immediate area around him. So it's not like you can just pick a bush, sit in it and go AFK and then come back and find out you've done 11,000 spotting damage. You're still going to have to relocate to get eyes on the enemy team as the flow of the battle ebbs back and forth. Beautiful Norman church there. There's actually a church that looks just like that from the 12th century in the village where I grew up, and that's in the northeast of England. The hell's a Norman church doing in the northeast of England, Jingles? Well, the Normans did kick our asses in 1066 and brought their architecture with them. Bombed out farmhouse there. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Can you get a light tank into that farmhouse? I'll bet you somebody's going to try. Oh, and there's the other cap circle. So you can see that it's a sort of north-south oriented map with one cap circle in the south here, the other cap circle right at the other end of the map to the north, rather than an east-west orientation, which is what a lot of people are probably going to be expecting from a D-Day map. One team starts on the beaches, the other team... Yeah, you can see straight away that was never going to work. One team having to fight uphill through the fortifications. No, I don't think so. Instead, it's well, they never claimed that World of Tanks was a historical simulator. So, in the interest of gameplay, it's a far more sensible north-south orientation for the two starting points of the teams, rather than having one team having to fight against the odds with all the fortifications ranged against them, and the other team sitting at the top in their tank destroyers with artillery raining down on the beach. Who knows? Maybe if they ever bring historical battles back. I'd really love to see this map in historical battles where one team does start on the beach, outnumbering the defending team 3-1, or possibly 2-1, given that there are only 15 tanks on each side. But yeah, I think that would be quite good. You can't park there, son. The red zone is for loading and unloading only. There is no parking in the red zone. Don't come here with your red zone bullshit. Sorry, airplane gag. And a view of the beach. Landing ship tank there, been sunk. A bunch of Higgins boats. I feel like I should know what those wooden obstacles were for, and yet I don't. Were they mined? Because of course this is at low tide, so they're exposed. I'm pretty sure they were there to mess up landing craft as they came in, rip the bottoms out and detonate mines as they sailed into them. Obviously it doesn't work at low tide. But I could be wrong, and I'm sure there'll be hundreds of people telling me the real story in the comments of this video. So anyway, that is the preview of the new D-Day map coming in World of Tanks patch 9.7. I think this map looks absolutely fantastic. I hope you agree. And if you don't agree, well, that's what the comments section of the video is for. Hope you enjoyed the video anyway. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.